الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. In Surah Nahl, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example of an old lady. This woman had something wrong with her mind. And what she used to do was she used to weave thread all day. So she had the loom, and all day she would weave thread. And by the evening time she would have a good amount of thread that she had woven. Then at night time she would go and break it all up into pieces. She would cut the thread, break the thread into pieces and throw it away. And the next day start weaving it again. And this was her cycle day in and day out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّتِي نَقَضَتْ غَزْلَهَا مِن بَعْدِ قُوَّةٍ أَنْكَاثًا. Don't be like that lady who, after making perfectly fine, strong thread, would break it into pieces. What is this supposed to indicate? This indicates a person who does good things, good deeds, and then ends up destroying all his own good deeds, undoing them, or doing something that nullifies them. Once, Sahaba saw someone in a battle, and he was fighting so bravely. And one Sahabi came to the Prophet ﷺ and explained to him what that person was doing, what that fighter was doing. He said, "O Prophet of Allah, I've never seen anyone fight like that. He is clearing away row after row of the enemy single-handedly. No one can stand in front of him. He is a true believer, O Prophet of Allah. He is a true mu'min." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Or he's a Muslim." So, again, the man said, "No, I think he's a true mu'min." The Prophet ﷺ said, "Or he's a Muslim." Like this happened 2 or 3 times, according to the narration of Bukhari. This Sahabi who came and brought the news was very disturbed by this. And he wanted to get to the bottom of it. That on one side there's a man who is apparently doing such amazing work, but Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not ready to acknowledge him as a mu'min. So he said, "Wallahi, I'm going to go and see what is the issue with this man. There must be something that I don't know, but Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows." So he continued to observe him, and the man went on fighting valiantly and bravely until at one point he got injured. He got injured apparently on his arm. And the wound was quite severe, and he could not bear the pain. He struggled with the pain. He was not able to manage it or endure it. Eventually, he gave up on trying to put up with the pain. He took his sword and put the hilt down on the ground. And the hilt down means the handle, down on the ground, with the tip of the sword up, and he plunged on top of his own sword and committed suicide. And this is how he died. So the Sahabi who was observing was shocked. And of course, this increased his yaqeen in what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say. So he went back again and said, "O Prophet of Allah, that same man that I was telling you about, this is how he ended his life." Then upon this, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَيُؤَيِّدُ هَذَا الدِّينَ بِالرَّجُلِ الْفَاجِرِ. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use even a disobedient person to support and strengthen his deen. So it gives us a couple of lessons. One is that al-a'malu bil-khawatim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at our actions based on how we completed them. Did we even complete the action or not? Or did we start it and then let go? Or did we start a process in our life and then not complete it towards the end of our lives? Sometimes a person says, I used to do this and I used to do that and I used to do that. But the question is, why are we still not doing those things? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells Abdullah radiyallahu anhu, Ya Abdullah, la takun mithla fulan. Oh Abdullah, don't be like so and so. Kana yaqumu al-layl fataraka qiyam al-layl. He used to pray at night, he used to pray his tahajjud very regularly, but then he stopped praying. So don't be like him. And sometimes what happens is it's not just a matter of being irregular in the deed or not being continuous. Sometimes a person falls into the pit of sins. And in this way they undo everything, all the good that they have done. So good deeds eradicate bad deeds. Innal hasanati yudhibna sayyi'at dhalika dhikra lidh-dhakirin. Good deeds erase bad deeds. So when we go into this phase of doing good deeds, all the minor sins are gradually, eventually washed away, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us many, many excuses for this. We've talked about this before. A person makes wudu, the sins start falling off their body just by making wudu. Person walks towards the masjid, every step Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving sins, writing hasanat, increasing their status. And then imagine the reward that they get just for praying salat. One sahabi committed a sin. He came to the Prophet ﷺ, said, "O Prophet of Allah, this is the mistake that I have made." Nabi ﷺ said, "Go pray salat. Go pray salat." And it was at that time that these verses were revealed. It's innal hasanati yudhibna as-sayyi'at. Dhalika dhikra lidh-dhakirin. So, in the similar way, bad deeds also wipe out the effects of good deeds. Bad deeds also wipe out the effects of good deeds. In fact, sometimes one mistake is so severe that it wipes out many, many, many good deeds, depending on the severity of that mistake. And the problem with sins is that one sin always leads to the next. Our mind tells us that it's a one-off thing, it's a one-time thing. I'll just do it this once. And I'll give in to my temptation this time, but next time I'm going to be diligent, I'm going to be strong. But what we don't realize is that one mistake, it weakens our iman. And so the resilience that we had before that, the resilience against sin that we had, it's even less. So with every mistake, we are more susceptible to committing the next mistake. It could be the same mistake, or it could be another kind of mistake. And then this is a slippery slope that a person continues to slide down, and they end up wasting sometimes years and years of good deeds. I have met people, very aged people, who, when I met them, they had seemingly nothing to do with deen. Nothing. But when they told me about their youth, and they told me about when they were young men, some of them have said that we never missed our tahajjud growing up. You cannot imagine that this same person who today is hardly a Muslim, they're not even sure if they're Muslim anymore. And this person spent their youth not missing their tahajjud, memorizing the Quran. Even today, they know so many ahadith, they can quote ahadith like this. You can tell this person spent their life in ilm and amal, their youth. But then something happened that caused them to undo all of that. So the fear of a believer is that, will I be able to continue doing this or not? Will I have istiqamah on this or not? وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا آتَوْا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ رَاجِعُونَ. Those people that are doing what they do, but their hearts are fearful. Their hearts are trembling, that they have to go back to Allah. Aisha radiallahu anha asked Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam tafsir of this ayat. O Prophet of Allah, are these the people that steal and fornicate? So they do deeds feeling guilty? Is this what the ayat is saying? He said, La yabnat as-siddiq. No, it's not those people that are making sins and they're afraid. These are the people that are performing salat and performing siyam and doing all of these good deeds, but their hearts are fearful. Will this be accepted from me or not? It's one thing to do a deed It's another thing to secure it in our account. Just doing it once doesn't mean it's secured. The stamp of approval will come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we manage to protect that deed. We started with ikhlas, we complete it properly, and then we don't do something that ends up nullifying that deed. So back to that old woman who used to weave thread all day and then at the end of the day break it into pieces. So sometimes what happens is, because of the intensity of rahmah in the month of Ramadan, we end up starting many things. We end up leaving a lot of things. And our life starts changing. Especially now as we are nearing the midway mark of Ramadan, people are really starting to feel the effects of this blessed month. They feel changes in their heart. They feel closer to the Quran. They feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's getting easier to come to the masjid. Is it not? You brothers are coming here every day. Is it not getting easier? You're in this routine. And many people, because of the barakah of this routine, they are leaving many things that they were doing before Ramadan, which were just wasting their time. Honestly speaking, it was wasting their time. And you just discovered that it's possible for you to do this. Before, the same person, if you were to say, come to the masjid and pray Isha, he would say, I'm busy. But today Allah has given him tawfiq to not just pray Isha, but also to pray 20 rakats of Taraweeh and also sit down and listen to the talk. Where did this time come from? It was always there. The time was there, but the mind had not focused on using this time in this way. So, many of us will start many things. Someone will start tilawat of Quran. Somebody will become regular in their salat. Somebody will be making hisab and calculating the zakat of this year or of previous years. Somebody will be making tawbah from one mistake. Somebody will be making tawbah from another mistake. But the thing is that we actually need to leave this world with a life of deeds. It should not be that we start things and then we completely neglect them, leave them behind, and we also become like that person who broke all the threads only to start again. Some people, they weave a lot of thread in Ramadan, and then right after Ramadan, they break all of that thread, and they wait till next Ramadan to start weaving it again. So may Allah Azza wa Jal grant us the ability of istiqamah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us to end our lives in a way that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from being deceived because of our current good deeds or our past good deeds. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the tricks of shaitan. Wa sallallahu wa sallama wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in.